Depot or Lowe's? Well, I'm glad you asked. Didn't say a word, cuz. As I just challenged myself to see which one of these big box stores has the greatest values under 20 bucks. So let's saddle up and take a look at these 10 amazing items for under 20 bucks. So are you Team Blue or Team Orange? As for me, it just depends on which one's closer. And that may be the same for you, but for this video, I wanted to challenge these two stores. And this challenge is all about finding the most useful and unique tools, each for under $20. You're in luck, buddy, because I just picked up a bunch of number 20 jokes. Oh boy, I guess we're doing that today too. So for this challenge, I popped into my pickup truck and headed to our first big box store, which was Lowe's. And right off the bat, I knew this was going to be a little bit more challenging than I was expecting, as I spent 2 hours trying to find 5 items under $20. But after sifting down every single aisle in this big box store, I was able to find some. So let's get into our first tool. After spending 20 minutes trying to get my girlfriend's bra off, I finally gave up. I'm never putting that thing on again. Our first item of the day is the Klein Tools Professional Shears. Let's give them a look. So Klein Tools is a brand that's also available on Amazon, and I've been meaning to check them out. And Klein makes a variety of different types of tools for various home improvement projects. But for this video, I pushed the envelope on that $20 price limit with these 10-inch shears. So if we compare these shears to my normal shop scissors, you can see it's substantially larger. One of the first things that I noticed about these shears is they feel very comfortable. They're very ergonomic and they have all the contours that fit right around your hand. And that'll make a big difference in cutting through some of your thicker material. Items like roofing, flooring, thick leather, or even thin sheet metal. And all of this has to do with its full metal cord and titanium coated stainless steel blades. And I think for under $20, any shop can benefit from having some heavy duty scissors that are somewhere between scissors and shears. Next up is something that I stumbled upon while looking for an affordable level. You know, I bought that Prince album for 20 bucks, but I partied like it was just $19.99. This is the Tough Belt 360-degree pocket level. Let's give it a look. So the thing that intrigued me about this level is that it didn't look like any other level I'd seen before. And that's because it's got a couple of dials and features on it that you don't usually see with a level. So first and foremost, this is a level, so it does have a neon green bubble level right in the center of it. If we look at the bottom of the level, you'll notice it's got a V-groove, which can be perfect for referencing round material. And did you hear that snap and notice that the level stayed right in place? Well, that's because at the base, there's 2 rare earth magnets that hold your level right into place to any magnetic material. And all these features are great, but none of those are the reason why I wanted to purchase this level. It was that dial in front that piqued my interest the most. Let's take a quick look. If we look at the side of the level, you'll notice there's a perforated knob so that you can adjust the angle. As you turn this knob with your finger, you can hone into any angle between 0 and 90 degrees. And as you can see, that bubble level moves with the dial, creating a new plane to be level at. And the level has 2 scales, one with every degree angle marked and the other with some of your more commonly used angles. And by referencing the small white pointer on the side, you can dial into any angle you want. And it's an analog level like this that can be perfect for setting things like your table saw blade, your bandsaw table, or even your drill press table. And since it has a heavy-duty die-cast construction, it's tough enough to handle anything you can throw at it in the shop. Not to mention that with its approximate 1x2x3 size, it's perfect to fit into your pocket to take it with you wherever you want. And at under $20, just a great little gadget to have. But we've got more Lowe's tools to take a look at. What did the Australian eye doctor say to his patient with 20/20 vision? Good eye, mate! Next on our list, we have the DeWalt 10-piece Jigsaw Blade set. Let's give it a look. Now this purchase was inspired by a recent video that I did on the Milwaukee M12 Jigsaw. In that video, I realized I now have 3 jigsaws, but only 1 jigsaw blade in my entire shop. So not only did I need jigsaw blades, but I also needed a reliable place to store them, and that's what caught my eye about this next item. Now, if you've ever bought jigsaw blades before, you know they come in these tiny little packages with 2 or 3 blades. But this 10-piece set from DeWalt had something that was a little bit different about it, and that's a double-sided carrying case for all of your blades. And this little case may seem like a little thing, but to me it's actually a big thing. Instead of buying a standard set of blades, grabbing one of those blades and setting the rest aside to be lost, you now have one place to keep all of your blades organized until your next use. So the case caught my eye, but the blades secured the purchase for me. If we look at one side of the case, you'll see there's 2 down-cut laminate, 2 clean-cut wood, as well as 2 fast clean woods. And if we flip that case around, you'll see it reveals the other 4 blades that are included, including 2 medium metals as well as 2 fast woods. And since this thing has 6 storage compartments, there's even some space for some blades that may not have a home, making this an excellent pickup from Lowe's for under 20 bucks. Our next item I picked up from Lowe's is one of the items I'm most excited about. Chinese takeout, 20 bucks. The gas to pick it up, 20 bucks. Getting home and realizing you forgot one of your containers, that's priceless. This is the Cobalt mini toolbox. Let's give it a look. So this is probably one of the items from Lowe's that I was most impressed by the price. But to be under 20 bucks, there was only one color I could choose. And that was the blue one, which is fine by me. Now for just a buck or two more, they do have different color options, but at my store, the only one that was under 20 bucks was the blue one. Other color options include black, pink, white, red, gray, and even green. But let's take it out of the box and see what we're dealing with. I'll have to say that my overall first impressions with this toolbox are pretty positive. Let's open it up and take a look. If we open up the top, it's got a 1-inch compartment with a 1/2-inch lip to keep all of your tools in place. This top area is large enough to fit larger items like pliers and screwdrivers without impeding the lid. And this compartment is about 10.5 inches wide by 5 3/4 inch deep. Now unfortunately, this toolbox doesn't have rubber pads on the top or in the drawers to protect your tools. But this is definitely a modification you could make down the road, and you could even use the shears that we just took a look at to cut your material. And the frame of this toolbox is going to last for a while, as it's got a rust-resistant, powder-coated finish. You'll also notice it's got 2 drawers with 2 different sizes. The bottom door is 2 inches deep by 9 inches wide, and the top drawer is 1 1/4 inches deep by 9 inches wide, which is plenty of room to store all of your accessories for some of your more accessory-heavy tools. And these drawers have a magnetic shutting mechanism to make sure they stay in place. And with its smaller size, this toolbox can be perfect for placing on your bench top to store all the accessories for tools like your pocket hole jig. And at under $20, I think this is a great bargain from Lowe's. But we've got one more Lowe's item to take a look at. You know, my best bud was also born on 4/20 like me. We have a joint birthday. Our last item from Lowe's is the Stinger Spider Bit. Let's give it a quick look. So a few weeks back, I did this video right here where I took a look at wood owl bits. If you're not familiar with wood owl bits, they're a great boring bit that have minimal tear out. The problem is these bits are a little bit salty. This 3-pack that I got cost just under 50 bucks. And this 3-piece set didn't come with an 1 1/4 bit, which is the size of the spider bit I just picked up from Lowe's. Now, if I wanted to get this 1 1/4 bit from Wood Owl, I'd be paying about $25, but this spider bit was less than 10. And that's exactly why I picked up this spider bit. So let's get it out of the packaging and compare it to the Wood Owl bits. If we take a look at both of these bits, you can see they're quite similar. They're both brad point bits with deep gullets and they have a thick shaft. Lastly, they have a locking shank. But none of this matters at all unless this spider bit can bore out a hole with minimal tear out. So let's give this bit a test and see how well it works. So I've got a piece of plywood clamped into place and ready to go. So let's give her a test. So I'm going to drill out 3 holes with this new bit and see how well it performs. And after drilling out those 3 holes, you can definitely see it doesn't perform as cleanly as that Wood Owl bit, but there's definitely reduced tear out in each hole. So if you're on a budget, or maybe you just can't stomach the price of the Wood Owl bits, this might be a great alternative. Well, that covers all 5 items I spent about 2 hours trying to find at Lowe's for under $20. But if you remember, that was only half the challenge, as I also went to Home Depot to try to find some unique deals under $20 as well. And I'll be honest, instead of taking a couple hours to find a few items, it only took me 30 minutes. So let's dive in and take a look at these items that I found at Home Depot. Before we do that, however, I ask you to do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment, and share this video, as it truly does help. Also, if you haven't checked out my website, check out FlynnDoggWoodwork.com. There you can find some unique woodworking accessories like all the t-shirts that I wear in my videos. And finally, if you'd like to support the channel, check out my channel memberships in the description below. There you get early access to all my videos as well as 1 member video a week. Now let's get into our first Home Depot item. You know, yesterday I was asked to go out with 20 girls. I guess that's what happens when you stumble into the women's restroom. So the first item I picked up is the Battery Daddy Smart Storage Solution. Now to me, this looked like an as seen on TV product, but let's get it out of the box and see what it does. If you haven't guessed already, this is a huge amount of battery storage, holding up to 150 different batteries. If we look at this battery daddy and flip it over, you can see there's two sides to this case. Now, an item like this would be a great thing to 3D print if you have a 3D printer, but there's one thing in this item you can't 3D print. If we open up one side of this case, you can see right in the center there is a battery tester. From D to AAA to even 9-volt, you can quickly get a readout of the juice left in your battery. Simply place your battery into the top section as the display shows and hold it into place. Then right below on the gauge, you can get a readout of how much juice is left in your battery. And once you're done with the tester with its onboard storage, you can place that tester into the case and know exactly where it's at. And the front side of this case holds D, C, AA, AAA, and even 9-volt. And the case even has some space for those odd-shaped batteries like the 2032s right in the front of the case. If we lift up on this lid in the back, there's a little cavern to store all those batteries. And the back side is all about storing the most commonly used battery, the AA battery, holding an extra 42 of these just in the back. And with this type of storage capacity at under $20, I think this is a great deal to pick up. For the next item I picked up at Home Depot, I was really quite surprised by the price, as I'm always on the lookout for affordable measuring devices, and this is a great addition for breaking down plywood. I'm a 40-year-old with the body of a 20-year-old. Any tips on burying them? This is the Empire 48-inch drywall T-square. Let's give it a look. Now, don't let the fact that this is called a drywall square fool you, as this can be used for any material. Now, one of the first things that I did with this square when I took it off the shelf was I made sure it was square with one of the other squares in the store. But now that we have it in the shop, let's test it out a little bit further with one of the longest squares I have in my shop, the TS32. So I'll first strike a line with the woodpecker square just to get a reference point. With that line now made, I can now strike a line with our drywall square and see how it compares. And I tell you what, this thing is just about perfect. These two lines are parallel, running down the entire 32 inches of that TS32. Now that I'm comfortable that this thing is square, let's take a look at some of its features. You'll notice that the two pieces of aluminum are held together with 5 rivets right at the intersection. And on the shorter piece of this square, you'll see something that's pretty nice for a square this large. And that is a lip. This ensures that you're referencing the edge of your workpiece. Now, we already mentioned this is a 48-inch square, but it also has a 22-inch base, with 16 inches on one side and 6 on the other. You'll also notice that there's 2 scales running down the length of the square in 1/8-inch increments, with one referencing the base of the tool and the other the top. And lastly, if you're using this for framing, you'll see that there's stud markers at every 16 inches. And for a square tool this big at under $20, this is a no-brainer in my book. But we've got more Home Depot items to check out. Let's move on to our next one. Did you know that 20 piranhas can demolish a small child in less than 30 seconds? Yeah, in other news, I lost my job at the aquarium. The next items I picked up were a few Fastbacks. Now, each of these packs individually were less than $20, but for the two of them, it was just a little bit more. But that's just because I wanted to check out both these knives individually, so let's get them out of the box and take a look. Let's first take a look at the 2 knives that came in the 2-pack. The first of the 2 knives is a standard Fastback. This simple utility knife has a couple of features that we need to take a look at. First off, on the back, it's got a small belt clip so that you can place it right on your tool belt. On the other side of the Fastback, you'll find a small black button that allows you to quickly access the blade. And the blade goes in just as easily as it came out by simply depressing that black button again. And I really like the way you switch out the blades with this knife, as it's a simple press of a button. By simply depressing the black button on the spine of the tool, you can quickly remove and replace that blade. And a toolless blade change like that is always appreciated. But let's take a look at the second knife that came in that 2-pack set. Now, this knife has all the same features of the last knife we just took a look at, plus a few more. First off, you'll notice this knife has a couple of different ways that you can either cut rope, wire, or even the tape on boxes. It also has a nice hole in the back so that you can add it to a keychain or tie it to something else. And by far, one of my favorite features of this second knife is its on-tool blade storage. If we pull out on the secondary tab, you'll see it reveals storage for up to 5 blades. And you don't have to worry about those blades going anywhere as they're magnetically held into place. Finally, let's take a look at that last knife. As this little guy is the 6-in-1 press and flip, let's take a look at its 6 features. The first feature is obviously the utility knife, but beyond that, you'll find a wire stripper. When the blade is put away, you can use this thing as a bottle opener. And if we pull out on the spine of this knife, we'll find the last 3 features, as it's got a Phillips, flathead, and nut driver right in the back. And this can be used in the straight position or at 90 degrees, giving you a little bit more leverage. So whether you go with a 1-in-1 or a 6-in-1, I think all of these knives have some great features. Now let's move on to our next Home Depot item. I took my cat to the vet the other week, and after a 20-minute checkup, I got the bad news. Turns out it's curiosity. Our next item is the Milwaukee Compact Hacksaw. Let's give it a look. So if you're like me, you may still have your dad's or even your grandfather's old hacksaw. And that's exactly what I've been dealing with, so I thought it was time for an upgrade. So one of the things that intrigued me about this hacksaw is it's supposed to be completely toolless when you go to switch out the blades, which sounds a lot easier than what I'm used to doing. But is it? Let's find out. Changing the blade has everything to do with a tab that's right on the top of the tool. To remove the blade, we're simply going to pull up on the tab on top to reduce the tension on the blade. With the tension now removed, you can pull that blade out and replace it and lock it back into place by simply pushing back on that tab. And I'll have to say, that definitely beats twisting on a wing nut. And I really like the comfortable grip on this saw, as you feel like you have a lot more control than your standard hacksaw. But we've got even more Home Depot items to check out, so let's move on to our next one. I was with my girlfriend the other day when she told me to slow down. You're going 20 miles over the speed limit. I told her you're going just as fast as me. Next up, we have the Husky rechargeable headlamp. Let's give it a look. So for under $20, this thing might not only be perfect for your shop, but also for camping. And that's because this thing is jam-packed with different light features. Now obviously this is a headlamp, so it's perfect to shine light wherever you're working. But more importantly than that, this thing's never going to need batteries. You simply open it up and plug a USB-C cord right into the battery. And battery life is really quite impeccable. At its highest setting of 600 lumens, you can get 2 hours. At its lowest setting of 2 lumens, you can get over 100 hours. If you look at the top of the headlamp, you'll notice there's a couple of buttons, and these allow you to scroll through all of its different settings. If you want a simple white light, you simply press the button on the right to scroll through the settings. But maybe you're on a secret mission or even hunting for Bigfoot, as you can depress the button on the left to even scroll through more light settings, including red light, red strobe light, green light, as well as UV light, making this a truly versatile headlamp, especially when you consider it's less than 20 bucks. Well, we're getting down to it and down to our last couple of items from Home Depot, so let's check out our next one. 19 and 20 got in a fight. Yep, 21. These next two items were so cheap, I picked up both, as I think they complement each other. First off, we have the Milwaukee Inksaw, which is perfect for writing on any surface. This 4-piece set comes in almost any color you would need, including black, red, blue, and green. If we look at one of the pens individually, you can see it looks like any other Sharpie. But these fine tip pens allow you to write on almost any surface, including dusty, wet, and even oily surfaces. And with their hard hat clip as well as the notch on the top, you can keep these things with you everywhere you go. And at just $3.50 for the pack, these can be a great add for your shop, as these markers can even allow you to color code your workpieces so that you stay completely organized in your projects. But I also bought a small accessory that goes with these pens. This tiny little accessory is called the pencil pull, and it may be the solution for one of your most lost items. And that, of course, is the pencil. Now this thing does come with a carpenter's pencil, but we're going to go ahead and remove that right now. Now that it's removed, I'm going to take one of the Inksaw pens and slide it right into that sheath. And with that pen installed, you can begin to see the beauty of this accessory. By simply taking the clip of the pencil pull and sliding it over your waist, you immediately have a writing utensil wherever you need it. And with over 3 feet of pull-out range, you can really hit almost anywhere. Now I just need one of these for my tape measure. Before I wrap up the Home Depot items I found, I did want to mention one bonus item, as this is an item I already have and I use it all the time, and I think most people overlook it. And that's because you have to look up when you're in the hardware section. These are magnetic sweepers. These things have single-handedly allowed me to find pieces that I normally wouldn't find. You'll be amazed at what you can pick up from your dusty floors with a simple sweep of this magnetic duster, leaving all that sawdust on the floor and only picking up the things you want. Well, that concludes all the items that I found for under $20 at these two big box stores. Let me know in the comments which one of these two stores had the most interesting finds for you. Well, I really appreciate you joining me today, and I had a lot of fun showing you all of these items that I picked up at these two big box stores for under $20. If you haven't already, do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment, and share this video, as it really does help. And be sure to check out my website, FlynnDoggWoodwork.com. There you can find all sorts of fun woodworking accessories like all the t-shirts that I wear in my videos. Lastly, if you'd like to support the channel, check out my channel memberships. There you get early access to all my videos as well as one member video a week. Until next time, take care as always. Yippers! You know, my blonde friend went to Home Depot the other day. He picked up a hammer and saw. Let's try this one. You know, I went to Lowe's the other day and they told me they had bags of manure on the ground in the garden section. Line sacks of shit. All right, last try. You know Home Depot is selling Christmas decorations in the second aisle of the houseware section. Yeah, I'll be home for Christmas.